I'm here at the Brooklyn Fashion Design Accelerator. It's this incredible place that's been set up to promote and accelerate designers interested in sustainability.
My name's Deborah Johnson. I'm the founder and executive director of the Brooklyn Fashion and Design Accelerator. We're a hub for ethical fashion. Our goal is to help young emerging designers start businesses that are not only financially successful, but are sustainable.
There are 12 of us that were allowed to apply for positions here, where we set up our workshop. My first batch of bags was upcycled wool plaid pants. They were from the 70s. They were inspired by my grandfather, who wore them every day. And I sold that collection out of my suitcase.
What exactly is your vegan leather comprised of?
It is comprised of polyester and cotton canvas, with 5% of a PVC thin coating over the top. But actually the worst thing in the material that I'm using is the cotton, because it's not organic, or even if it were organic, it would still use 70 bathtubs of water. And the most expensive and most valuable resource is human labor doing it, and I'm very dedicated to doing it here in the States, here in New York. Everybody's doing an amazing job here, so
I know, it's off the charts. Tara has been hailed as the sustainable guru.
We work with different brands to understand what's important to them from a sustainability standpoint, because the supply chain in fashion is so complicated. What I think is going to be really impactful is having a dialogue with consumers, and so that there's a communication tool between brands or designers about the supply chain. This is more transparency.
Oh, how lovely. Collapsible shoulder. What does that mean exactly?
So when you dress them, because they have to be dressed, you have to be able to put clothes on them and they can't move, obviously. The shoulder collapses.
Oh,
so
God.
Put the clothes on. Sustainability has a lot of different facets. My concentration is ethical production.
I'm curious. So you decide that you want to establish fair pay for your workers. How do you do that? Do you just walk into the factory and meet the factory owner and talk about how much they pay? I mean, how does that actually happen?
It's really difficult. I've worked in all sizes of companies, so I've seen a gamut of factories all around the world. So I went and visited them, and then you have to have those hard conversations also about, how are they paid? It's not the easiest.
No. So this is a replacement for leather. It's actually a cotton that's coated with a rubber from the Amazon. But what's great about it is it can be used for waterproofing, and as a replacement for the formaldehyde ridden waterproofing materials that we're currently seeing on the market. This is great.
I really like this.
Oh, good,
this
I'm
is
glad.
Super cool. I'm just going to take it home with me.
This one was made in India, and India really specializes in handwork.
It's very clever because you fringed it. It's just a fringe. I am officially really into this brand. This should totally be on Net-a-Porter. Deborah's just shown me into this incredible room.
So this is what we call the production lab. It really started with a student of mine saying, Deb, I can't afford success. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, I just got an order from Barney's. And I'm like, wow, that's fabulous. She goes, but I can't afford to make it. I can't afford to make it at a price where I can sell it and make any money. And, there's just nowhere I can go for this. And I said, this is a problem that we can solve. So as we built the accelerator, we realized what we wanted to put alongside it, a production facility that would allow young designers to come in, work with people who are expert in their field, not only in the production of their garments, but in how to reduce the amount of waste, how to get to the supply chain and really spec materials and do it right.
Honestly, this says a lot about you as well. You responded and you created this. That must feel so good. I read that one of your objectives is to create the best ever white shirt.
yes, it's to me the most iconic wardrobe staple.
How are your white shirts sustainable?
Well, the fabric is organic cotton, and it's 100% produced in India, which is kind of the least amount of travel that I could find. Conscious fashion as a term really means buying things that you love, that you're going to wear many, many times. I mean, I have one which is called the Verb.
So they've all got names.
Yeah, they've all got grammar names.
Oh, grammar. Of course they have. Okay.
So
Where's the
one,
noun?
This one, I don't have a noun yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta get one.
Feeling
I
a
gotta
noun
make
coming
one.
up.
This one's called the split infinitive because of the two-piece collar.
This is the back.
This is the front.
I would
Yeah,
wear
and
it back to. Can I wear it back to front?
I've never seen anybody do
Oh,
that.
I would
but I don't-
totally. So you have a seamless knitting machine.
Seamless knitting
over there.
machine. And what that means is it knits three-dimensionally. So usually in traditional knitting, they knit the front, the back, the sleeves, and then you have to connect them all.
Yeah.
And that takes labor hours.
Yeah.
And so what we're able to do is knit a garment seamlessly. And there's a couple of things that's great for. One, it reduces the cost of production, which means you've got better margins.
Yeah.
The other is there's very little waste involved.
Why is it so hard for young designers to get access to knitting machines?
Well, this machine that you're looking at is about $187,000.
Right. I had never thought about the fact that piecing two sides of a garment together involved somebody.
You know, it's a really interesting point. People don't realize how much handwork is in every garment. And then you think about production in China, thousands and thousands and thousands of garments that are just flowing through the workspace.
Whoa.
We have a swimwear company called Fair Harbor that we started from Colgate University back in 2014. Basically, we started studying about plastic waste and its effect on the oceans, and that meant a lot to us because Carol and I grew up going to this place called Fair Harbor in Fire Island, and anything that ended up on the beach went to the ocean. So Caroline and I said, we got to do something about it. It's like, all right, well, how about if we start a clothing company, and especially swimsuits made out of recycled plastic bottles to help protect the places that we love.
It's really where we learned to love the ocean, whether it was surfing or swimming or just biking around. And, that's what we really created the whole lifestyle of the brand off of, being under the sun and just enjoying the environment.
We take a macro level view of the entire world and seeing plastics that are accumulating all across the world and into the ocean. And the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which has gotten a lot of attention recently. And I think something that is so interesting and really disturbing is that any plastic that we discard is going to be on this earth much longer than we're going to be here.
So one of the biggest problems with polyester in general, whether it's recycled or not, is the fact that it releases microfibers into the water stream. So as we wash our clothing, as we dye it, or whatever we do with it, there are tiny little particles of polyester that go into the water supply chain, and they end up in the ocean. So you've heard about these plastic islands that we see, or plastic soup in the middle of the oceans. That's where it comes from, or that's partly where it comes from.
And what percentage of fabrics that we consume are polyester?
It's quite high, so anywhere between 40 and 60%.
40 to 60%?
Yes. The next highest percentage would be cotton. And so it's a big problem.
I think it's mindfulness, and I think it's empathy. I think it's having kind of a holistic approach to being a consumer and also being a creator.
One of the biggest issues with polyester is not necessarily the fiber itself, but when it's blended. So oftentimes you'll see polyester is blended with another material, and that makes it unrecyclable. To date, there is some technology that exists. There's a company here called Evernew in the United States. There's actually a company in the UK called Worn Again, which are also looking at separating fibers and recycling both of them, cotton and polyester. So if you look at slow food and sustainable food, we're 15 to 20 years behind that movement.
But we're in a movement.
Absolutely.
That's the most
Yes,
important
absolutely.
thing. What an experience that was. I'm bowled over. Conscious fashion can mean so many different things. The fabric, the making of it, there are so many different facets to it. These people are pioneers of the scene.